Hello, this is Jack Stevenson at the Institute for Jaques-Dalcroze Education on the Monocacy Manor campus in beautiful Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And of course, our institute is an affiliate of the Institute Jaques-Dalcroze in Geneva, Switzerland. This slideshow covers simple meter arm beats in 2, 3, and 4. The arm beats are similar to the standard conducting patterns, but Dalcrozians go beyond beat tracking and standing guard over tempos. Arm beats are far more physical. They provide a comprehensive experience of a variety of music parameters. For example, we have arm gestures in simple meter, which are angular in nature. And then we have gestures that are in compound meter that are circular in nature. And gestures in complex meter that encompass both qualities within a single measure. With arm beats come an additional experience of the time, space, and energy between beats when traveling from the crusis to the metacrusis and to the anacrusis. And in that space between the beats are three distinct types of resistance. The first type is the pushing upward against gravity. The second is the moving laterally through gravity. And the third is traveling downward with gravity. The arm beats also provide dynamic and agogic nuance. And by switching arms, the gestures could demonstrate phrase structure and even form. Arm beats involve specific body parts that work in specific ways. The feet work by the heels lifting. The legs work through locomotion. The hips and spine and shoulder girdle all work together for good balance and proper posture. And the shoulders, arms, and especially the wrists work together to form the actual arm beat patterns. This video you are about to see was an hour-and-a-half eurythmics class, but now condensed into a 5-minute clip. It covers those most essential experiences required before studying actual arm beats. The lesson builds upon a triple simple meter. Find your sits bones on the edge of the chair. You sort of find those two bones. We're always leaving the chair. We're leaving the chair. We're leaving the chair. Yes, I never sit into the chair. It's only a moment of lift. You're rebounding off the chair. So it's a circle. Think of it as an oval, a loop. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, lift, and lift, and lift, and lift, and lift. Bravo. 2, 3. Keep this in a straight line, as opposed to letting it, flow this way, or this way, or this way, right? Let's see. Lift, bravo. There we go. sense of not going into the floor, but coming out of the floor. As I step, deal, deal, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1. The duration of the note there, because we're always talking about duration, is equal to space. So where's the space happening? When I said, yes, yes. The step behind us is alive. This way. So we're lifting, and you see my heel come up. It's really coming up from the beginning. You can hardly see it. And then it rises, and then there's the new beginning. There's that fall. And so for the first beat of the measure, which is called the Cursis, lifts, and you say down, 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 down. True? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Up! Because the beat doesn't happen until the ball changes direction. If we have no floor there, it's just going to keep on going down until it hits a plane. Somewhere it's going to hit a plane, and then it comes up. And at that moment where the change of direction occurs, that's the beginning. It's called an ictus. It keeps falling, and when that ictus is created, you've got the beat happening. So we don't call them downbeats. What a ridiculous concept. Because it teaches us the exact opposite of what's really happening. So everybody in the world calls it the downbeat. What should it be called? Yes! Yes! Now here's the fun part. When we go up, and then we come, just like you did this morning, the fall is the anacrusis. Now what does anacrusis mean? Remember I told you what anapest meant yesterday? Ana, the prefix, Greek prefix ana means against. Anacrusis, against the cruises. Okay? So, just the opposite of what the whole world teaches. Isn't it bizarre? So, the downbeat is the last beat. And the first beat is the upbeat.
The chair's use is so compelling when discovering the space between, because the entire body's weight helps to physically realize the energy's flow with, through, and against gravity. The exercise teaches the power needed to ascend and the struggle required while descending just to keep the tempo. These same principles are then applied to the arm beat gestures as seen in our next video.
Hello everybody. We're going to continue on now with a demonstration of the actual arm beat patterns in 2, 3, and 4 simple meter. But first, I want you to listen. So hopefully in that music you heard a meter structure. First, when we're listening, we want to focus on where that beat is, then where's the cruises, then finally what's the meter. Okay, so ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-di-ba-ta. So you can sense maybe I was in definitely a 4 or a 2 meter.
And it's sometimes hard to tell the difference between those two. And oftentimes things are written in 2 and it's really in 4. And other things are written in 4 but they're really in 2. I was trying to stay in 2, and I wanted to give you the impression I was in 2. I didn't do this thing in that video where you could also use the chair back as the cruising plane. So if I use the chair back here as the cruising plane, then we have the same movement that we did with the chairs. Where we're lifting up on the cruises and we're falling on the anacrusis. So we have a lift, fall, lift, fall, lift, fall, lift, fall, lift, fall, lift, fall, lift, fall. Now, what really is working physically when I'm doing this? First, my heels are coming off the ground. They are not stationary. You can be pleasant and you can look really good, or as good as you can. But what's missing? Look at the difference. What happens? All of a sudden, I'm alive. My whole body is involved. And I'm in front of students, especially children. I want to show them I have the music in me. They can see it in me. And you remember, when you're teaching children, you are it. You are their example. So you have to be as much the music as possible. So this helps a lot, having those heels lift off the floor. So we do 2 hands, okay, the heels, the heel, and it lifts. You should feel it in your thighs and feel it in your calves until you get really used to it. So lift, fall, lift. Now what else is actually moving? Do you notice something? My wrist. This is the most important spot when you're doing arm beats. So if I have somebody holding me down or a weight on me, I have to lift my arm. I'm going to lift it, but I'm not going to lift it like that. I'm going to go like that. Because it's this point that the resistance is the greatest. So I'm taking on that resistance with this point, and then as it falls, the wrist also descends. So here from the side, you see lift, fall, lift, fall. And my whole body follows that wrist. Actually, I have a sense that this wrist is actually taking me up. Not the other way around, where the heels are, no, the wrist is pulling me, and the wrist is pushing me. The wrist is pulling, the wrist is pushing. Lift, fall, lift and fall. Dum dum da dee dee da dum ba, dum ba, rum bum ba, rum bum ba, rum bum ba. Yeah, so that this joint, even if we're moving freely in space, and I move my arm like this, okay? Or I move my arm like this. Wrist. It's actually guiding the move. Now my elbow, I'm sorry, my shoulder and elbow helped in that one. See, my shoulder comes up first, it pulls my elbow, and then my wrist follows that in that particular instance. But if I'm just using the arm, not the shoulder, see the arm, the wrist is where the fulcrum is. So we lift, fall, and yeah, yes, and the elbow is involved, yes. Now if I go twice as fast, so we lift, fall, dee-da-dum, dee-da-dum, dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-da, dee-ta, dee-dum, da, da-da-da, dee-dee-dum, bum-bum-ba, dee-bum, dee-dum, dee-dum, da, dee-da-ba, dee-da-da, return,
ram da ram bum bum ba pa dum da dee da da dum ba dum dum up ram ba ba pa ram ba ba be da dum ba da da yum ba da dee da. Return now rum bum ba dee da da dee da 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 and stop. Wonderful. Let's try it with some music. I improvised just before I started this little thing, and I created this one piece in simple 2 meter, but it also can be done in 4. So let's listen, and we'll move along with the music this time. Try 2. That's it. I'll get a little more on the side so you can see the wrist. That's it. Now listen carefully, because now we can really follow the agagics, the nuance. Yes! Good enough. Yes. Yes, wonderful. Okay, so that's the 2. Okay, so there we have 2 beats. We have the crusis and the anacrusis. Now, without these 2 beats, there are no meters. You must have the crusis and its reaction. The action, reaction. If you don't have action, reaction, you don't have meter. So we're going to have 3 beats. So where is that 3rd beat? The new beat is out here, where we open up the body. So we lift, lift, fall. Lift, lift, fall. Lift, lift, fall. Lift, lift. Now what's working again? Yes, the heels. But the wrist? The wrist works a little differently now. So now the technique of the wrist has to be lift, lift. See this part, this spot here, that's taking me up. Then when I'm going from cruises up, it's this that's taking me up. Then it shifts. Then it falls. And then it shifts again to take me down. So I have this sort of habit of doing this thing here. You can certainly come straight down. Or on the side. I like this. Obviously, I like that way. But what's the thing here? Is that I'm experiencing the space between the beats. Now, this beat out here has a name. It's called metacrusis. Meta in Greek means middle. So we have the middle crusis, and then the anacrusis. And the anacrusis is the ana, you heard in the previous slides, that is a prefix in Greek that means against. So it's the counterpart to the crusis. So 3, both hands. Now the left hand, bum, dee, does the same thing. Look, lift, lift, fall. And dee da da, ram da da dee da 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 dee da da ram ba da, ram ba da dee da 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 da. You can see the wrist, yum. So da dee da da ram ba da dee da da. So technically, it's heels working in conjunction with the ankles and knees. Then it's wrists working in conjunction with the elbow and shoulder. But this is the focus, and the heel is the focus. And like I said before, I really have this sense, you can see my wrists are pulling me up. See, they, boom. And my arm has a little response, it follows as well. My forearm is following my wrist, but my wrist is the leader, and my heel is the leader. Those two things work exactly together.
Let's try doing the meter of 3 with some music instead of just me singing. Now you want to listen carefully. Resistance build and release because I'm not changing the size of the gesture. If I keep the space the same, I gotta slow it down through resistance. There we go. Yeah, lovely. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the next meter. 4. So now we have a new beat. What's that new beat? Well, and where does it go? So here's our 3, right? Where's 4 go? Well, hate to break it to you, but 4 is already there. 4 is the last one. And 1 is already there. Now the question is this the next one? Well, if this is the next one, then I'm going to be here at my anacrusic point 1 beat too early. Because this point always goes to that point. So this metacrusis is always before the anacrusis. So now we have another metacrusis, another middle beat. So it goes out here so that it can prepare us for that one. Also, and more importantly, it goes here and it follows the cruises. So it follows, then we move, and then we prepare. And then we da, di, da, ya, da, 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 da. So this beat, no matter what meter you're in, is always preparing this beat. Let's say if we do it in 5, 1, 2, 3. There it is again. We do it in 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now, let's try this 4. We have a lift and we go off. Now you can use your shoulder as a point of departure. Lift, pull away, fall. Lift, pull away, fall. Now notice that when I'm lifting from my heels, I'm really much slower now because I can only go so far. I can't get higher than this. So I need to take that space, which is fixed, see, and the music is fixed. Time and space are fixed. So what has to happen? My energy has to change. So I have more resistance here. So my energy part of the quotient is bigger. And the space is smaller. So I have more energy, you see, in the same space. So that means I should have more space to fill that time. But I don't. So my space is shrunk in relation to the time I have. Okay. So let's listen to 4 music. Let's go back to 2. Cursis at the same spot. Yes. So we're going twice as slow. Yeah. That's the idea. Yeah. So let's just a little review. First and foremost, we are trying to get a sense of the space between the notes. Just like Debussy had this idea. It's all about the space. Right. Next, experiencing this has to come from the ground up. So the heels have to be responsible for getting this buoyancy out of the ground. You've got to get that lift out of the keyboard, just as you get the lift out of your heels. So when you're improvising, same concept. You have to play with that sense of lift. So you get that here. So it's the heels in working with the wrist. Short demonstration. Hope it worked for you. Stay tuned. Go to the next slide because I've just a little bit more to tell you. As mentioned, Claude Debussy agrees when he said, "Music is the space between the notes." This is where the experience of music lies, where we sense force, weight, dynamics, tempo, and articulation, among other music and physical parameters. The final video is a piece of Plastique Animeé. Here, the performers designed a musical choreography traveling between the notes, through space, with, through, and against gravity. In other words, in space and time, with energy. Note the vertical and horizontal movements initiated at the base of the spine, just like our arm did when the movement was initiated at the wrists. Enjoy.